The moment Claire stepped into the small Seattle cafe, the rain-soaked air clinging to her coat, her heart felt strangely unsettled. She had prepared herself for an ordinary blind date, awkward small talk, forced smiles, and maybe a polite farewell. But nothing prepared her for what happened when she looked up and saw the man sitting at the corner table. Time didn't just slow, it collapsed. It folded back into the years she thought she had buried, because the man waiting for her was not a stranger. It was her first love, Mason, the boy who once promised forever, and then disappeared without explanation 8 years ago. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these emotional stories reach more hearts. Claire's breath caught as she froze near the entrance. Mason looked up, confusion flickering into shock as recognition washed over him. The cafe hummed around them, clinking mugs, soft jazz, whispers of conversations, not realizing it was witnessing a collision of two pasts that neither of them were prepared to face. Claire's hands trembled as she approached the table, her mind racing through the fragments of memories she had spent years trying to silence. That summer by the lake, their last kiss under an old cedar tree, the unanswered messages, the vanishing act that had left her broken. She had moved on. At least she told herself she had. But something in Mason's eyes stirred an ache she wasn't ready for. As she sat down, she noticed something unexpected, a child's small jacket draped over the back of his chair. Before she could ask, a little girl with curly brown hair and soft, hazel eyes ran toward the table, clutching a crayon-streaked paper. Mason caught her gently, his face glowing with a tenderness that pierced straight through Claire. The child must have been around 5, maybe 6, and when she smiled, something in her features resembled Mason so clearly that the truth landed. Without explanation, he was a father. A single father. Claire felt the floor shift beneath her as she struggled to steady her thoughts. The Mason she remembered was carefree, reckless with dreams, full of plans to explore the world. And yet here he was responsible, grounded, carrying a new life in his arms. The questions crashed over her like winter waves. Where had he gone? What happened to him? Why was he here now? And why did fate bring him back into her life in such a cruel, unexpected way? Mason introduced the little girl as Harper. Claire forced a smile, though her heart squeezed painfully at the sight of the child resting comfortably against the chest of the man who once held her with the same quiet warmth. She tried to appear composed, but inside she felt a whirlpool of memories, hurt, and unanswered wounds churning violently. Mason's eyes reflected something too, a mix of guilt, fear, hope, and the burden of what he clearly still needed to say. As the date continued, Mason finally revealed the truth that had haunted him for years. After high school, he had received a devastating phone call that changed everything. His mother had fallen gravely ill, and with no one else to care for her, he left abruptly to manage the family home in Montana. Then, unexpectedly, his childhood friend, someone he had tried to help through her own struggles, became pregnant and disappeared for months. When she eventually returned and handed him a newborn before leaving town for good, Mason's life shifted permanently. Everything happened so fast that he barely had time to breathe, let alone reappear in Claire's life during the chaos. He said he carried guilt every day for leaving without saying goodbye, but he was overwhelmed, young, confused, and ashamed of the person he had become. Claire listened silently, the past slowly unraveling and reorganizing itself in her mind. Part of her wanted to hate him, to cling to the betrayal, to demand why she hadn't deserved even a single message. But another part, the part that still recognized the warmth in his voice and the sincerity in his eyes, understood the weight of what he carried. Life had shaped him into someone different, someone quieter, steadier, worn but kind, someone who had suffered too. As Harper colored on a napkin beside them, Mason admitted that he almost canceled the blind date when he saw Claire's name, but convinced himself that maybe fate was offering him one chance, only one, to apologize and close the wound he had created. Claire swallowed hard, realizing that the pain she held onto for years had also lived inside him, gnawing at him quietly as he tried to rebuild himself. For the rest of the afternoon, the three of them sat together as the rain softened outside the window. Harper kept taking Claire's hand and showing her the drawings she made: flowers, hearts, crooked houses. And each time, Mason watched with a hopeful softness that Claire tried not to acknowledge. Eventually, she took Harper to the window and helped her trace raindrops on the glass, letting the little girl's laughter dissolve some of the heaviness between her and Mason. The hours slipped by until the cafe lights dimmed for closing time. When Claire stood to leave, Mason rose too, his voice cracking as he thanked her for listening. He didn't ask for anything, not forgiveness, not a second chance, not even friendship. He simply told her that seeing her again after all these years was a gift he didn't deserve but was grateful for, and that whatever she chose after this moment, he would respect it. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the city soft and golden under the street lamps. Claire watched Mason buckle Harper into her small booster seat, brushing a curl from her face with gentle fatherly care. Something inside Claire shifted. It wasn't sudden forgiveness. It wasn't blind hope. It was something quieter, the understanding that life sometimes breaks people in ways they never wanted, and sometimes love returns at the most unexpected, impossible time, asking not for a repeat of the past, but for the courage to see the present for what it is. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly means the world and helps these emotional stories reach more people. Before the ending, I'd love to know your thoughts. Comment below what you would have done if you were in Claire's place. As she walked away that night, Claire didn't have all the answers, but she did know one thing. Life had brought Mason back not as a second chance at the same love, but as an entirely new chapter waiting to be written. And for the first time in years, she felt ready to turn the page.